guys and gals. So,
I know K-State's kind of having a down year, but what kind of crowd are you expecting Saturday, and what do you think the atmosphere will be like?
I expect it'll be great, just like it always is when we go over there. I don't think it'll be anything to take away from that. So certainly we, just like when we played at Waco or play most of our visiting venues, I think that the crowd's usually pretty turned up, and I'm sure that'll be the case Saturday.
Obviously, people saw what happened at the end of the game here with them. You're going to have any more talks with your guys about what to expect over there, or
As far as
the crowd getting on them, or any of that stuff? I mean, it's going to be like it is over there, but
yeah, it's always that way. So yeah, we'll talk about what you should be prepared for, but we didn't say one word about the crowd at Baylor. So it's not like that's going to be our point of emphasis going over there is to talk about the crowd. Our point of emphasis would be, being poised and playing hard and competing hard, and how to guard their actions and how to take advantage of how they guard us. That'll be our focus.
Can Silvio go to the game, and how's he been practicing? It's been quite a while since that first game. Is he practicing enough? You think he'll contribute when he comes back?
Yeah, but you know the deal. Silvio can't go to the game. That's the Big 12 penalty that they handled down. The guys that were involved couldn't travel. So no, he won't be at the game. But he's been practicing, and he's actually, he's doing great. His attitude's good. His attitude's always good. He certainly, had a bad moment, but his attitude's good, and certainly he's contributing in every way he possibly can. Now with the limitations he put on.
Hey, Bill, a lot of times by now, Player of the Year type of honors start to identify, themselves. And I'm just wondering what you think about when you think about Players of the Year. What kind of criteria we should think about?
Well, I think, if you just talk about in general terms, I think winning is obviously very important. I believe sometimes putting up numbers is overrated a little bit if you have a lot of balance on your team. I remember when we won the national championship in 07-08, we had 3 guys that should have been on first team, and 0 made it in the media poll because our leading scorer averaged 13. Which is under so I think winning obviously is important. I think numbers are skewed sometimes because of how good your team can be. I'll use Baylor as an example. I think their numbers are skewed a little bit because they have such good balance, 1 through 6 or 1 through 7. So they're not going to have a guy with the elite numbers as far as scoring output. But I think a value to a team and where that team would be in your estimation if that person was not on your team. How far would that team fall or drop? And to me, those are all things that are somewhat intangibles, but I think that they all play a huge role in who would be a Player of the Year in every conference or national or what district or whatever you're looking at.
You said your guys were gassed after the Baylor game, and then after Monday night's game, having a day off, going lightly yesterday. How do you think they'll respond today and tomorrow?
They'll be great. Yeah, they'll be great. God dang, 21 years old. I really think our schedule has probably taken a bigger toll on us than it has in recent years, because I think we were 3 out of the last 4 weeks was Saturday, Monday, then the West Virginia game on a Wednesday, Saturday, Monday. I think that does add to the fatigue, and also the mental preparation that it takes when you can't stub your toe. So guys, obviously have been relatively focused and everything. So I do think it's natural to find to have a moment where you're beat, and I think that was the case after the Baylor game. I was really happy with our guys. I thought we really competed hard against Oklahoma State. I thought we executed pretty well, but we had a tired point guard out there. I mean, that was as probably as worn out as I've seen him at any point in time since he's been here. But he seems to have his legs back now.
Hey, Bill, been a time maybe in the last few years where, when we talk about players of the year and that stuff, maybe conference, but just for your own team, I mean, how difficult can it be to even maybe find the one guy that's the MVP on this team when clearly there's 2 or 3 guys that maybe could be in that running?
Yeah. I didn't read the article, but I think the paper in town, Launch paper, had kind of broke it down, and I think from week to week, I kind of actually agree that you could make a case for any of those guys. But to me, I don't know. If you start doing what the talk about, well, who on your team and all that stuff, hopefully our guys are mature enough to know not to listen to that crap, because now you could have guys competing against each other within their own team, and that's not how you win games. And so the good thing is the way that Marcus would be that for us would be if he gets steals. So it's not like he's trying to get points to do it, but and Doak would do it by defending and rebounding. But Dot needs to score for us. But I don't know. We've had a pretty decent year up until this point. We've had 3 guys play particularly well, and right now I wouldn't want to choose who it is, but I think it'll probably distinguish itself over the next 3 games, to be honest with you, because guys got to play in the biggest games, and these next 3 are obviously pivotal if we're going to have a chance to win the league.
Can you size up Devon's development versus or compared to what you wanted to see from him this year? I mean, run a team, be more of a pass first looking guy, things like that, and also how Marcus has impacted that for him.
Well, I think Devon has changed my opinion on what I probably thought I wanted him to be early on, because I did not think he could be a guy that would get 18 a game in our league. So he's done that, and so he's far exceeded what I thought he could do from that standpoint, and he's probably equaled what I thought he could do in the other categories. So he's had a great year, and Doak's on an uptick now. Marcus is getting some attention now, but if you look at it from start to finish, it'd be hard pressed to say that anybody's had a better year than Devon on our team, because he's been very consistent. The one game he doesn't get double figures, he plays half the game. When he got hurt and he had 9. So I mean, he's been a pillar of consistency for us.
And Marcus's role with him, and especially as a passer and taking off some of those.
I think Marcus has helped him. A lot. And if we don't have both those guys in the game, I mean, we kind of take a step backwards offensively. Even if we maybe replace them with shooting, you just don't have the playmaking that we have with those two. So they both been really good at being aggressive and creating for themselves and others.
At points this year, you've mentioned Ochai, what he does defensively for you guys. Could you just break down what you like about him as a defender and what he's done this year?
Well, he's athletic. He's got the best base of any. If you watch him get in the stands, he looks better than anybody on the team. He can slide. He's extremely long. He's become, pretty adequate guarding. I'm not going to put him in the same category with Marcus yet, but I think he has potential to become an elite defender. So.
From when you recruited Isaiah Moss, has he given you just what you expected? And how would you rate his year so far?
Well, I think it's. I think we should wait and rate after the year, but I think that he's been good. He's been good. He's been a little inconsistent, but he's also wasn't comfortable too. And you guys forget he practiced the entire preseason with his pulled hamstring. He was out for 6 weeks or whatever. So I think he's done quite well. If he hadn't had that situation, I think we probably could have seen some more consistency early. But he's become a really good defensive guard. I mean, he's trying, and so obviously we need him to make shots, but he's doing more than just making shots.
Coach Self, whenever you're watching Kansas State, there's one player that's been made a lot about for his body language, and Cartier Jada. Whenever you watch him on tape, what do you see?
Well, I think he's very, very, very quick and athletic, and I think he has great anticipation skills. He gets his hands on a lot of balls, and he's one of the few guys that can actually guard the ball and defend the pass at the same time. There's no telling how many times he can guard the ball, and then you can make a pass and he can still get his hand on a pass. Not too many guys can do that. And, you know, he's a good scorer without question. He can get to the hole. He's a good all-around guard. You know, he's talented.
What do you remember about what made Christian so effective in the first matchup with K-State, and what do you expect for him on Saturday?
Well, you know, Christian is a very good shooter, but he needs to have his feet set to become, you know, like most people, to be a good shooter. And in that particular game, I don't know how many looks he got. Was it 10 or 9, something like that? And he ended up making how many threes? 6. So you know, you don't make 6 threes unless you're Marcus Howard or whatever, and you can get it off the bounce. But he made a couple off the bounce, and basically, you know, that's another thing about Doak that nobody gives him credit for, is if you don't have him, you can space out and get the shooters a lot quicker. And you know, I think he was a beneficiary of some of those.
The league itself right now, coming down to the stretch, what are your thoughts about where it is? How many bids could this league have? I think I asked you a couple weeks ago, that kind of looked like a 2-team league, and there's been some real separation.
Yeah, there's been some separation since we talked about that. I think our league has a shot to get 6. I do. And I think we'll get 5 at least. I do. I think that there's some teams that are 7 and 8 in our league, and I think there's 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken, that probably all need to, you know, finish strong. I do think there's a shot that 8 and 10 can get in, even though supposedly the committee doesn't base it on what your league record is. They base it on your overall stuff. But you know, you look at other leagues across America, and there's, you know, the ACC has separation. The Big Ten does not have separation. The Pac-12 does not have separation. And, you know, we've kind of bellyached or whatever over the past about our league maybe not getting the attention that it deserves because the metrics show it was the best league. But a lot of time when there's parity within your league, it gives the view of maybe being, you know, more average. And a lot of times when it's top heavy and bottom heavy, it gives a view of being superior. I think everything is its own individual case, but our league is still terrific, and we've had teams in our league have terrific years. But I would say that we've probably gotten less national respect this year as a league than what we have in the prior league years. But still, last year, what did we get, 6? I think we'll get 6 again. I think we'll have similar numbers than what we've always had. I think the most we've ever had is 7. Is that right? But I can see us getting 6 again. That means 2 of those 3 teams at 7 and 8 probably need to play pretty well.
And Bill, a couple of years ago, you guys went to Louisville for a regional, and Chicago was an option. And since then, they changed it so that the number 1 overall seed.
That was something that was not we didn't think that was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like the change of now that they will allow the number 1 seed to pick their sites?
Well, not the number 1 overall seed.
The number 1 overall seed, yes.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you have a great year, I guess you could be rewarded. That was a screwy deal that year because by the way that the rules were written, it was like 10 miles closer, but it was a connection flight and cost 3 times as much money, and a quarter of your fan base had a chance to go. So that was not good for us at that particular time. So I do think that's a good rule change. But also, the committee didn't do anything wrong. That was just the way that it was set up that year, and we just happened to be the school that was the number 1 overall. That was equal distance between both. But I'm glad that adjustment has been made.
I know it's a couple weeks in advance and talking ahead, but you guys potentially, if you were the ones who would have to pick, could you envision pros and cons for both Indianapolis and Houston this year? You know, I have given it some thought, but I haven't given it enough thought to know the positives or the negatives of that. You know, it's still a crapshoot. You pick before the seeding, before the field is drawn. So
no matter what you pick, what you think you're staying away from, still is a 50-50 chance that you could still get. You know, but I think your point is good in that there's so many schools around the Midwest that you would be not have the same potential advantage that you could maybe playing in a different area where the majority of the schools may be out of their area too. So I see your point, but I haven't talked to my administration about that, and I'm not going to worry about that too much. That to me it's a crapshoot regardless, and you gotta, you gonna play good teams wherever you go.
Bill, a question about Marcus for you. Just from a recovery, maybe a treatment standpoint, what's a normal week look like for a guy like him who's had the ankle stuff?
Yeah, it's his foot, more now, but he's in treatment every day. Every morning he's over here for an hour treatment or whatever it is, and he took off Tuesday, he took off Wednesday. We hope to practice him about 30 to 40 minutes today, and then hopefully he can go full tomorrow and play Saturday. But that's been the routine we've had with him the last several weeks.
Another geography question for you.
I didn't do great. Ninth grade geography was a real pain for me.
OU and Tech played in Oklahoma City. How would you feel about playing a conference regular season game
In Sprint Center?
outside of the field house?
No. But I don't know the reason why they played it in Oklahoma City. I don't know the reason. Anybody know the reasoning on that? I think it's fine to do. I guess the home school has a right if the visiting school would agree to it, but no, I wouldn't. We already take too many games, in my opinion, away from Allen Fieldhouse. I wouldn't want to add to that.
About a week old or so, but do you have any thoughts on John Beilein and that whole situation with
Not really.
Okay.
I know John, but I don't know him well enough to know what he's thinking or anything like that. I don't think it speaks well for college coaches that want to move that direction or have opportunities to move that direction, just because it's another case where the appearance is it didn't work out, but you don't know what the reason why it didn't work out really. And maybe it could be as much as his heart wasn't into it, or thought it was something different than what it was, or there could be other things. But I do not have any feel for that whatsoever.
Hey, what would you like to see from your bench guys here in this stretch run toward the postseason?
From both of them? I would like to see. I'm joking. There's three. I would like to see Tristan probably be able to give us 10 to 15 minutes a game, so we can rest some guys. That would probably be. I think Christian's done fine off the bench. I think David's been great off the bench. As a matter of fact, David to me has probably played better in less minutes off the bench than he did as a starter. And I think it's also good for him because he doesn't have Doak in the game usually when he's playing, so you don't have a guy clogging it up for him too. But I'm okay with those guys. I think that it's time for Christian. Tristan hadn't had as many opportunities, but it's time for those guys to no longer be freshmen and have the confidence to go make plays. And I do believe that David and Christian off the bench have done that at a pretty good rate for us.
with Tristan? Casual, right, was the word you used earlier on.
He's pretty cool.
Still there? Is that what's holding him back at all, if anything?
It's you gotta understand. It's not a flaw.
Right.
It's just kind of a personality deal that he's always. We said the same thing about Wiggs. Right? The Wiggs can still get 16 or 18 being that way, and Tristan, I think, has done well. He's gotten better. Practice, he's been terrific, but he's in a situation where there's a 50-50 ball. He's going to dribble it as opposed to pick it up. And those sorts of things, and he's getting better at it. I think I love his talent level, and I thought he played really well against Oklahoma State for the most part. So hopefully he can build off of that. But we're going to need all 8 of those guys moving forward.
I don't know if you've been asked this yet or not, but if you guys in Baylor happen to win out, you'd probably be favored to win all those games. It's going to come down to a draw of a slip of paper out to see who the 1 seed is. What are your thoughts about the tiebreaker situation? If it gets down to that, have you ever been involved in something where it was a public draw of a piece of paper?
No. I hope we have that problem. Hey, I can deal with that. So that means we would have won 3 in a row. And you know, we gotta count on taking care of our own business and not banking on somebody else doing our work for us. But I believe that what other way could they do it? You can't do it from a point differential. You can't do that, because then, you know, you're up a certain point differential. Do you leave your starters in? I mean, that's not right. So I think the way that they're doing it, that may be the fairest way to do it. If you can't do a coin flip, then you might as well draw something out of the hat. I don't know what else would be, you know, more fair.
Would you go? Would you be the attendee?
No. No. That would be a big deal to fans. You know, so the one seed, because of a coin flip or whatever, had a better year than the 2 seed. I mean, that doesn't make any difference. So you know, the difference would be you're playing 7 or 10 as opposed to 8 or 9. Right. But no, that would be, I wouldn't. I hope I have to deal with that, and I promise you I'll sleep just as well regardless of what happens. So.
Coach Duff, what have you noticed about the 3 freshmen for Kansas State that get a lot of playing time?
Well, I think that you know, that's one thing. When you lose as many guys as they lost last year, you know, Stokes and Brown and Wade, and lose that much experience and points and rebounds, and assists and steals. You know, when you replace them, and we've gone through it a lot, you replace them with, you know, younger kids usually. And so I think they've done well. I think the biggest thing that they've done from my perspective is they've allowed them to be much, much, much better going into next year. I mean, they've all developed over the course of this year and got some invaluable experience, but that experience is going to pay off possibly more in the future, because they've been through it. You know, they've experienced some things that everybody has to experience. They've experienced some things that Tristan hadn't experienced yet. And so that could be an advantage for them. I think they're good.